Maleficent 2014, Full Story Part 1, presented by Movie Shorts Hub. Welcome to Movie Shorts Hub, your gateway to epic fantasy tales and legendary characters. Today, we begin the magical journey of one of Disney's most misunderstood icons. This is the story of Maleficent, not the villain you thought you knew, but the protector, the betrayed, the reborn. Long ago, beyond the reach of ordinary kingdoms, there existed a hidden realm of beauty and magic, the Moors. A lush, enchanted forest glowing with floating willows, fluttering sprites, and ancient tree warriors. This was a world untouched by greed, where mystical creatures danced freely under golden skies. And in the heart of it lived a young fairy girl, bold, joyful, and strong. Her name was Maleficent. She had great curved horns upon her head and powerful wings that let her soar above treetops. She wasn't just any fairy. She was the strongest among them, a guardian of the Moors. Though still young, her heart was kind, her laughter echoed through the leaves, and her belief in love was pure. One day, that belief was tested. The boy from the human kingdom, a human boy named Stefan, stumbled into the Moors, afraid, hungry, and curious. Maleficent didn't scare him away. Instead, she helped him. She gave him food, showed him kindness, and over the years, they formed an unexpected friendship. As they grew older, friendship turned into affection. He gave her a gift, a kiss of true love, or so he claimed. But time passed, and while Maleficent remained loyal to the Moors, Stefan grew obsessed with ambition. The human kingdom, driven by greed, sought to invade the Moors. Their king, old and bitter, commanded his soldiers to conquer the magical forest. But they failed, for Maleficent rose to protect her home. With the help of great tree warriors and magic beyond human understanding, she defeated them all, without killing a single man. The dying king, humiliated, promised his crown to whoever could kill the winged protector of the Moors. Betrayal in the dark, Stefan returned. Not as a friend, but as a traitor. He embraced Maleficent once again, pretended to love her. But when she fell asleep under a sleeping spell, he took from her what was most precious, her wings. Not brave enough to kill her, he cut her wings and delivered them to the king as proof of her death. When Maleficent awoke, the agony was beyond words. The betrayal cut deeper than any wound. Her screams shook the skies. Her heart, once pure, now filled with sorrow and vengeance. The fairy who once believed in true love was gone. In her place rose something darker, something feared. The rise of Maleficent. From the ashes of that betrayal, Maleficent built a throne of thorns at the center of the Moors. She cast a powerful shadow over the land. The Moors, once open and playful, turned silent and guarded. She was no longer the sweet child of light, but a powerful sorceress cloaked in black. She found a raven, helpless and hunted. She saved it with magic, turning it into a man. His name was Diaval, and he would become her loyal servant, her wings, her eyes, her voice when she chose not to speak. The cursed celebration years later, news arrived from the human kingdom. King Stefan, yes, the very same, was celebrating the birth of his daughter, Princess Aurora. All nobles and fair folk were invited to the christening, except for one, Maleficent. She arrived anyway, towering, majestic, terrifying. Her presence silenced the hall. Dressed in dark elegance, she approached the cradle of the innocent baby girl. With cold elegance, she cast a curse. Open quote. Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she will prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and fall into a sleep like death. Close quote. Gasps filled the room. Stefan begged for mercy, but Maleficent added only one twist. Open quote. This curse can only be broken by true love's kiss. Close quote. A cruel echo of her own heartbreak, a love she no longer believed existed. Kingdom of Fear. King Stefan, now paranoid and broken by guilt, ordered every spinning wheel in the kingdom to be destroyed. He sent Aurora to live deep in the woods with 3 bumbling pixies disguised as her guardians. Meanwhile, he turned his castle into a fortress, obsessively guarding his daughter's fate. But little did he know, Maleficent was always watching. She watched the baby from the shadows, at first with coldness, then curiosity, and eventually something she never expected: compassion. A shift in the shadows, Aurora grew into a radiant child, kind, adventurous, and endlessly curious. She called Maleficent her fairy godmother. Despite herself, Maleficent found her heart softening. She protected Aurora in secret, rescued her from dangers, and even laughed again. Diaval warned her, "You're getting attached." But the truth was undeniable. The girl Maleficent cursed had become the girl she loved, yet the curse remained. It could not be undone. As the years passed, the bond between Maleficent and Aurora deepened, even if the girl never knew the full truth. She believed her fairy godmother lived in the shadows to protect her. But Maleficent, she was battling something deeper: regret. Despite her dark exterior, Maleficent was changing. The curse she once cast out of vengeance was now her deepest torment. Every smile from Aurora, every innocent word cracked through the armor around her heart. It wasn't just guilt, it was love. The kind Maleficent never thought she'd feel again. She tried everything, every spell, every incantation, but the curse was absolute. Her own words had sealed it. Open quote, "No power on earth can change it." Close quote. The day of the curse. The sun rose on Aurora's 16th birthday. Maleficent panicked. Diaval pleaded with her to reveal the truth to the girl, but Maleficent hesitated. How could she admit she was the one who cursed her? Finally, as the day unfolded, Maleficent couldn't bear the silence any longer. She told Aurora everything: the curse, her past with Stefan, and her regret. Aurora's heart shattered. The woman she trusted more than anyone was the very reason her life was doomed. Heartbroken and betrayed, Aurora fled toward the castle, unknowingly walking straight into the trap destiny had prepared. The curse is fulfilled. King Stefan, now nearly mad with obsession, welcomed Aurora back. But not out of love, out of desperation to stop the curse. Yet fate could not be outrun. Drawn by a mysterious voice, Aurora wandered into a hidden room where a single, enchanted spinning wheel stood untouched. She pricked her finger and collapsed. The curse had been fulfilled. When Maleficent found her lying in silence, tears ran down her face. The once feared fairy knelt beside the girl she had grown to love. "Helpless," she whispered. Open quote, "I swear no harm will come to you, not while I live and not even after." Close quote. True love's kiss. Maleficent had seen the kingdom search for true love. Princes came and went, including Prince Philip, a charming young man Aurora had briefly met. Diaval rushed him to the castle, hoping his kiss might work. But the magic failed. Because love born in a day isn't real love. Then something unexpected happened. Maleficent, broken with guilt and love, leaned down and kissed Aurora's forehead. Not as a fairy, not as a curse bringer, but as the only soul who truly loved her. And in that moment, Aurora's eyes fluttered open. The curse was broken, not by romance, not by a prince, but by a bond deeper than magic, a mother's love. The final stand. King Stefan, furious and mad beyond reason, confronted Maleficent atop the castle. He set a trap, chaining her wings and ordering his guards to kill her. A brutal battle unfolded in the shadows of the stone tower. But Diaval, transformed into a fire-breathing dragon, fought to protect her. And then, the moment that changed everything, Aurora discovered something hidden in a glass case. Maleficent's wings. Still alive, still beating, imprisoned like trophies of Stefan's betrayal. With courage burning in her heart, Aurora shattered the case. The wings flew, found Maleficent, and rejoined her body with explosive force. With her full strength restored, Maleficent rose to the sky once more. Not as a monster, but as a protector reborn. She faced Stefan, but refused to kill him. It was his own fury that led to his fall. A new dawn peace returned. Maleficent lifted the curse from the Moors and reunited the human and magical realms. Aurora was crowned queen, a bridge between both worlds. And Maleficent? She didn't vanish into the shadows. She soared through the skies once again. Wings stretched wide, heart-healed protector of a land that had once broken her. This is the untold story of Maleficent, not of evil, but of betrayal, love, and redemption. The Moors were silent, not in fear, but in awe. The skies, once darkened by vengeance and pain, now shimmered with light. The curse had been lifted, not by a sword or a king, but by the very one who cast it. Maleficent, once feared as the embodiment of evil, had become the guardian of love. Aurora's coronation. In a grand ceremony held under the open skies, among blooming wildflowers and enchanted creatures, Aurora was crowned the Queen of the Moors, not just the human kingdom, not just the magical realm, but both. She was the bridge, the hope of unity, a future neither born from bloodline nor war, but from balance. Maleficent didn't stand at the center. She stayed just behind, watching, guiding, smiling, because this time she didn't need a throne. She had something greater. Forgiveness in the wind. The people of the Moors cheered. Fairies danced midair. Even the trees seemed to lean in celebration. Maleficent flew above them all, her wings gliding gracefully over her homeland. For years she had lived in shadows, her heart clouded by betrayal. But now, with Aurora alive, the curse broken and peace restored, she was finally free. Open quote. I once believed true love didn't exist, Maleficent whispered in her mind. But then I met a girl who changed everything. Close quote. The final shot. Maleficent soaring into the sunset, her silhouette against the golden sky, wasn't just the end of her story. It was the rebirth of it. Its final chapter. Or so we thought. In a world divided between thorns and thrones, between curses and crowns, a single truth pierced through the darkness, that even the most feared creature of all could carry the warmest, most protective heart. She had been called many names: monster, sorceress, witch, demon. But those who looked closer, those who dared to see beyond the wings and the horns, they saw something far more powerful than fear. They saw love. You see, this wasn't just a story of a curse, or a sleeping princess, or even a betrayed fairy. This was the story of transformation, of redemption, of how even the most shattered soul can be stitched back together, not by magic, not by revenge, but by something much older than either, by forgiveness. When Maleficent placed her curse upon the infant Aurora, she did it with vengeance in her heart. But what she never imagined was that this very child would one day become her own light in the darkness. Aurora didn't just awaken from a cursed sleep. She awakened Maleficent's soul. She broke down the walls of anger and hurt and bitterness that had built up like armor around her heart. And for the first time in forever, Maleficent felt something she hadn't allowed herself to feel since she was betrayed. Hope. Aurora, with her smile, her innocence, her unwavering belief in goodness, reminded Maleficent who she once was. A young fairy flying freely through the moors, full of wonder, laughter, and light. She reminded her that even in a world full of pain, trust wasn't weakness, it was strength. As Aurora grew, so did their bond. Not born from duty, not from blood, but from choice. Maleficent became her shadow, her protector, her silent guardian through every sunrise and storm. And when that moment came, the moment when no prince's kiss could break the spell, it wasn't some grand fairy tale cliche that saved the day. It was love. Not romantic, not scripted, but the raw, untamed, selfless love of a mother. Because Maleficent didn't just break the curse, she broke the cycle of vengeance, the chain of betrayal. The curse that had followed her for years, it ended not with a fight, but with a tear. And as she returned Aurora's crown, she gave her the Moors and the kingdom. Two worlds, once divided by fear, now reunited through peace. But what Maleficent gave Aurora was more than a crown. She gave her wings, not physical ones, but the kind we carry inside, the strength to lead with love, to rule with kindness, to see with clarity, even when surrounded by darkness. And so the skies opened, the moors bloomed, and the last echo of hatred faded into silence. But that is only part of the tale, because behind every peaceful ending, there's always another chapter waiting to unfold. And while Aurora wore the crown with grace and Maleficent soared above the clouds once again, not all hearts in the human realm shared in their joy. Some hearts still burned with envy. Some souls still hungered for control. In a distant castle far from the moors, whispers began to rise. Whispers of discontent, of fear, of power unchecked. There are those who still fear the Moors, who see peace not as harmony, but as weakness. And soon, a new threat will rise, one cloaked in royalty, dressed in smiles, and crowned in lies. A queen whose cruelty is hidden behind golden halls and gentle words, who sees Maleficent not as a guardian, but as a weapon to be extinguished, who will stop at nothing to break the balance. The next tale will not be one of forgiveness. It will be one of resistance, of discovery, of revelation. Because Maleficent is not alone, is not alone. There are others like her, with wings, with power, with a past that's been hidden for too long, a forgotten tribe, a hidden history, a destiny that goes far beyond one kingdom or one curse. The storm is coming, and as peace begins to crumble and truth is buried beneath diplomacy, Maleficent must rise again, not just as a protector, but as a leader, as a mother, as a warrior, as the last of her kind, and the first of something greater. So, dear listener, if this journey stirred something within you, if you felt the wind beneath her wings, if you too have ever been misunderstood, misjudged, misnamed, then this story is yours. You are not alone. You are not what the world says you are. You are what you choose to become. And if you believe in redemption, if you believe in second chances, if you believe that even the darkest of nights can end in dawn, then come back, because the next chapter will demand everything you have. So before you go, subscribe to Movie Shorts Hub, the home of stories that stir your soul. Like this video if you believe love is more powerful than any curse. Share it with someone who's ever been called a villain when all they ever wanted was peace. And comment below, what moment touched you most in this tale? Was it the curse, the kiss, or the quiet moment of truth between a fairy and her daughter? And while you're at it, get ready, because Maleficent, Mistress of Evil is not just a sequel. It's a reckoning, a battle for legacy, a choice between truth and tradition, and a journey that will reveal who Maleficent really is, not just in the eyes of others, but in her own. Coming soon, only on Movie Shorts Hub, where every fairy tale has a heartbeat. Until then, watch the skies, feel the wind, and remember, legends don't end, they evolve.